So welcome. Are we ready to have fun? Say Yahoo.
Yahoo.
All right. Anybody nervous about today's topic and anything going on there? Anybody frustrated or mad or excited? All right. So let me just get the formalities out of the way. That's me, Dr. Joseph Arve. Been here for over 26 and a half years in this location. Along with my lovely wife, Mrs. Arve. Say hi. We have pulled off what you're going to hear today. All right? And so welcome all Facebook listeners. Welcome to everyone here. We have a lot of work to do, but we're going to have a lot of fun. Okay? So let's get the ball rolling. Anytime this video will be either on Spine Geek eventually, as soon as Scott posts it, or on our Facebook page. If you have any questions, message me, watch it, like it. It's all right there, okay? There's a ton of videos if you want to really learn more about this. This is just a taste of trying to drink out of the fire hydrant, if you will, what we're going to cover today. As far as who I am and what I do, I'm a really good doctor, and I have a lot of good fun, and the people that I take care of do so well that they end up at the Olympics and win gold medals. And so what I have to talk about today helps whether it's you or your child or your future children kind of go where you want them to be. Just so you know, I've been there, done that, bought a lot of T-shirts, wear them once in a while around the office here. And we literally get to see miracles happen every day in this office, healing miracles, things that they say can't happen, but yet happen inside here. And so the message you're going to hear today may be different than what you've grown up on, maybe what you've seen on social media or the TV, or different than what maybe laws have been passed in our government. That's okay. That's all right. We'll talk about that too. And again, everybody give a hand to Mrs. Arve and my helpers, Diana, Megan, Grant, Luke, Heather, and Jesse. Jesse's in Philadelphia fighting at the Liberty Bell International Tournament today. Our helpers and Scott, and again, thank each one of you for coming. Brain damage is a good word that I get to go through in the months to prepare for this. But this has been good. There's some old-fashioned stuff. I cleaned out my storage shed. Mrs. Arve and I, she made me. She's like, go, just go, 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 go. And while I'm in the corner cleaning my stuff out, she's behind me going, throwing stuff away, going, hey, how'd that get in there? But I got to find a lot of my old notes that literally taught us and made us switch our minds and create our own ideas, if you would. Long before there was Pinterest or Facebook or Instagram or internet or YouTube, I had to figure it out. We had to figure it out all without all that help helping us, right? And so this is Mrs. Arve. She's here about non-toxic skin care and beauty care and hair care and stuff like that, okay? And anytime she knows she has full reign to chime in and make me look good when I'm stumbling about something that we went through. Because we've been through, I'll start crying if I think about it, but we've been to hell and back. And we've been back there twice, sold ice water, and came back and successful, okay? Diana's here at Young Living Oils. Oils are important as far as detoxing. You want to keep your home clean. You don't want your home to poison you. You want to get toxic, especially your children, especially as they're crawling on the floor picking up stuff. So see her today at the break and afterwards. And then Miss Megan, about boot camp. I told you we're going to work out today. But come and try. Everyone here today gets a free workout with her, okay? And so get that signed up today. At our break, they'll get a few minutes, just a few minutes, please, to share what they're all about. So the mission has always been one thing: put an end to unnecessary suffering. That's it. That's it. Whether you're in the womb, okay, whether you're outside the womb, and whether you're trying to live and create a better life. Our mission, my purpose, my reason for doing these talks is to put an end to any unnecessary suffering that does not have to happen in this planet, or unnecessary suffering in the womb, or unnecessary suffering from age 0 to age 5, or age 5 to teenagers, or to whatever age it is, okay? And so today's talk is information overload. How to raise a healthy family in spite of social media. Now, there's a great book out there written many years ago by Dr. Mendelsohn, a pediatric doctor, and he wrote a book on how to raise a healthy child in spite of your doctor. So I kind of took a little bit off of that and rephrased it now to basically how to raise a healthy child in spite of social media. Raise your hand if you got social media barking out both ears of you. trying to get you to whatever, do ever, be ever, whoever, right? Okay? So we're going to like to learn how to silence that so you have authority and know exactly how to navigate that in the world today, okay? And so what is the goal for you being here today? Shout at me. What's your goal for being here today? What's our goal?
Healthier living.
Healthier living, okay. Education, right? Be a good parent. Be a good parent, right? Okay. All the above. Keep your kids healthy. Would you like to leave here today with information, but also some things you could do to help your child? And again, there's so much. I'm going to speak from pregnancy to get pregnant to conception to 5 years old. That's going to take at least 8 hours, all right? Maybe I'll do 5 to teenage years, how to give attitude adjustments, and then after that, okay? But here's the thing, if smoking is not good for you when you're pregnant, newsflash, is it ever good for you? No. So if it's not good for you when you're pregnant, you really shouldn't be doing it outside or inside the womb or outside the womb as far as that goes. And so let's just agree that my goal, all our goals, are to raise healthy children. That's kind of the goal today, right? Or future children. That's the goal. I want them happy. I want them healthy. I want them to be fun. I want to like my children, right? That is the mission. Let's not ever lose that focus. Boy, just social media alone in the last 3 or 4 months and just the battling and the arguing and the yelling. And I'm like, it's funny that you want a healthy child, and yet the anger and the bitterness and the frustration and the craziness is crazy. Bless you. Okay? So we all want the same thing. Now, how Mrs. Arve and I have chose to do that, has successfully pulled off for the last 30 years, is we kind of like what we've done. So we feel like we have something to share. And we really don't care whether it's popular or not. That's never been an issue, okay? So we'll just go from there. Again, this is some of our chiropractic families. This is the Kelly family, and we love them. And I'll tell you what, Mama Stephanie has some she's a warrior in the trenches, right? She's the warrior in the trenches. And these kids, they practice what we teach and what Mom teaches and they have a personal health philosophy that makes these kids strong and healthy. And again, is any of this perfect? No, it's not perfect. Sometimes we're winging it. Sometimes we don't have any clue what's going on, right? But we know, but here's the thing. I may not know what 2 plus 2 is, but I know it's not 3. And I know it's not 1. I know it's not 5. And I know it's not 10. Sometimes you may not know what the answer is, but you may know what the answer is not. That's a writer downer. I may not know what to do, but I sure have 10 things not to do. Okay? And because those 10 things can send you off in a whole tailspin of other things, okay? And then again, this is the family we went on vacation with, the Schreiner family. They're both chiropractors in Columbus. We had a great time with them. They're a chiropractic family. They're a kingdom family, okay? And then again, when should this whole thing start about raising healthy children? Well, as soon as that baby gets outside the womb, it's a good time, right? It's a good time to start right here. And so if any of you in this room did not get your first adjustment here, then you're already behind schedule, okay? You're already behind schedule. And this is my little man here. When we were on vacation with me, my name was Papa Dude. That was me, Papa Dude. Okay, and again, this is May and Luke. I love that picture. This is us on our vacation, and this is where our life started. A lot of the things that I believed changed because of this little girl, and had to upgrade. So what you think today, and be careful what you hold on today, is you'll never change. Guess what? You may find yourself barking a whole different tune 1 month, 6 months down the road, right? For all of you who have never had children but are experts on raising children, okay? Just promise me that someday the day will come, like today, or the other day, one of our families came in and she's nannying for a 5-month-old. And she's like, "This is so hard." She said, I called my mom and said, "Mom, I did not know." You just hear all those phone calls. "I am so sorry. I thought you made it look so easy." I'm like, I gave her a hug. I was like, "Way to go." But we are been battle tested and we've been to hell and back, okay? And again, here they are today, right? So this one here, okay, is that one now. And she looks pretty good. She's got all her fingers and toes and stuff like that. And so everything that I have to tell you today is what we've done here, warts and all, okay? It's just where it's at. So here's the first question. Where do you want your baby? Where do you want yourself? Where do you want your life to be 5 years from now? Okay? We'll go over the homework and stuff later on. It's in your notepad. But that's the vision. Where do you want to be at 5 years from now? Chances are you're going to be somewhere. Where are you going to be? That's what today is all about. And what choices are you going to make, start making, stop making to get to where you want to be in 5 years? Okay? Where do you want your child to be? Going into kindergarten. Where do you want your health to be? I want to be pregnant, having babies. I want to have more babies. I don't want to have any more babies, right? Okay? And so, do you have a personal health philosophy? I'm done telling you what to do. I want you to think for yourself. I'll tell you how to think. I'll tell you I'll tell you what to think. No. I will tell you how I think and look at something, and then you have to choose, because if I can talk you into something, somebody else can talk you out of it. Okay? So, and I've seen that. Oh, they get it figured out. What do you mean you just did this? What? Well, the doctor said, well, they talked you right into it. And the problem is in 5 years, you're not going to like where you're ending up at because of that, okay? And again, again, I'm reading things that I read back in 1987, and they're still true. They were true then, and they're true today. So everything I want to talk about has stood the test of time. That's important. So everything that we apply to raising our children to be healthy were universal laws, okay? Promises in the Bible. Clean science. There's a difference between clean science and dirty science, okay? Dirty science is when I'm paid to give you facts and figures and statistics that really aren't going to deliver the promise you're looking for, but will make me a lot of money and a lot of profit, okay? Clean science is we don't care if you do it or not, but here's what we've proved. We have no bias. No one's paying us to say these things. This is just true reality and clean science. And the last thing is ancient wisdom. This is what we go off of today. What worked 1,000 years ago should work today. What worked 100 years ago should work today. There's things that may change, right? Okay? Like the law of gravity. Is the law of gravity still real? Yes or yes? Yes. Okay. All right. So now, I don't believe in the law of gravity. I've written books on how you're a fool if you listen to those anti-gravity people, right? Those gravity people. I've gone on TV. I've even passed laws so that you have to obey or not obey the laws of gravity, right? So here's the thing. If I don't believe in the law of gravity, if I've passed laws to make you not believe in the law of gravity, if I've written books, I've done TV shows, I have dirty science on, okay? I have legislators, I've paid them to believe that there's no such thing as the law of gravity. Guess what the law of gravity says? I don't care. Okay? I don't care. Since the beginning of time, as far as I know, the law of gravity has been there a whole lot longer than we have. So if I can attach my personal philosophy, my personal belief to a universal law that was true from day one and will always be true no matter what, then bets are that I'll have a lot more success than trying to believe there's no such thing as the law of gravity, and the minute I try it, I fall on my face. Okay? Now that's for me. Now let's take it one step further. What about for my baby? My newborn baby. There's no law of gravity. You can drop this baby every time. They'll be fine. So other people out there who lie to us and say, oh no, go ahead and do this vaccine. They're completely safe. Guess what? I don't know. I don't know. What about, well, take that medication. Feed him that food. Give him that. Do this. Do that. But the whole time, what they're asking me is simply to trust them, and yet the law of gravity hurts them. You're going to learn that 54% of all children in this country are chronically sick and ill. And a lot of it is because we're listening to people that are telling us that there's no such thing. Hey, just be, I know, hurry up, doctor, you'll get to the point, right? there's no such thing as a law of gravity. The whole world is making money off of you believing there's no such thing as a law of gravity. Politics is running rampant, passing laws, there's no such thing as law of gravity. Right? And you're fearful. And you're tired. And some people don't even want to have babies anymore because you've been told there's no law of gravity. And yet the minute you test it with your child, they get harmed and they get hurt. And you said, I believed them. They were on TV. They were on social media. They were so convincing. Now they started bullying me to believe them no matter what, or I'm a bad parent. Or they wanted me to pass laws where I was forced to believe. And again, when I trusted them, once again, the law of gravity has been around. So I hung our hat and our faith and our actions based on guess. I don't care what you tell me. I know there's a law of gravity. And I know it works every single time. And when I apply my life in line with that law of gravity, now not only do I have a confidence, you can't talk me out of the law of gravity. You can't talk me into believing it doesn't exist. Okay? That's the conviction I want you to have. That's the conviction I want you to give you. I mean, you can listen, but you're like, there's no law of gravity. Are you crazy? You begin to see the whole world differently. And then you want me to give you my child and believe there's no such thing as law of gravity? No, thank you. No, thank you. You may have to move. I don't care. You may have to homeschool. I don't care. You may have to, it doesn't matter. I don't care. My papa bear me or my mama bear me. No. You're not going to get to this. God has given me this for a reason. And it's not to make you happier to buy your product. Okay? So the confidence you can have in the law of gravity is the confidence you can have in every aspect of raising these children, raising yourself to be healthy and strong. That's the confidence I have. It's not arrogance. It's just, go ahead, let's get on the building and jump off. Let's chant 10 times. You don't believe. You can write books. I don't care anymore. Well, I need more proof. I don't. You can go proof yourself all you want. But some people you're never going to change. You know what the word is for that? Next. Okay? So this is what it's all about. Okay? This is what it's all about. Because here's again another promise. We were created, and God created in the image of God. I read the Bible. I believe the Bible. I have faith in the Bible. I feed my faith with the Bible, not my fear. So many times we feed our fear and not our faith. And now we're all over the place, and we forget that the law of gravity is even true or not anymore. Okay? But again, we're created in God's image. That's what that baby is the image of God. And again, ancient wisdom, Hippocrates says, let food be your medicine. He said that a long time ago. Hippocrates said that basically now the accepted definition of health, according to Hippocrates' way of thinking, Dolan's Medical Dictionary says it's a state of optimal physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely absence of disease. Hippocrates said that many, many, many years ago, long before we were here. Okay? He also, okay, and so everything I'm teaching you is based on universal laws, biblical promises that have been around a long time, and then ancient wisdom. Just common sense. Just common sense, okay? But let me show you what you're up against.
We haven't talked about the vaccine debate here on SciShow because there is no debate to have. Vaccines don't cause autism, and they save millions of lives every year. But there is a debate, whether or not it makes sense. And a lot of people counter this with ridicule, but we at SciShow aren't about judgment, we're about science and using it to better understand the world. We see the anti-vaccination movement as a phenomenon to be understood. So instead of making yet another statement about how yes, vaccines are good and no, they don't cause autism, let's use science to understand why fewer and fewer people are getting their children vaccinated. I'm Hank Green, and this is SciShow. first, let's discuss how we ended up with this imagined link between vaccinations and autism in the first place. Autism diagnoses are definitely on the rise. Now, many scientists believe that this is largely or even completely because of more effective diagnosis and changes in how the diagnosis is reported. So while the diagnoses of autism are increasing, we can't say for sure whether the incidence of autism is also increasing. If it is, it must be because of some environmental factor. Now, when we talk about autism, we're really referring to a range of developmental disorders which can affect a person's ability to communicate or socialize, or cause them to develop patterns of behavior that become pretty specific and inflexible. The condition can manifest itself in a lot of different ways, but you've probably heard of them referred to together as autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. While ASD has been found to have some strong genetic components to it, there also seem to be environmental factors at work as well. And that's really the root of this controversy. We simply don't know precisely what causes autism. And in the absence of explanations, people tried to make sense of it themselves, and the way our brains do that is almost entirely with cognitive bias. A cognitive bias is really just anything that skews how we process and interpret new information. There are tons of different kinds of bias. Some biases cause us to ignore certain data, others lead us to put too much emphasis on certain data. They can even drive us to focus on facts that are actually irrelevant to what we're observing. But essentially, when we hear a hypothesis and think, yeah, that makes sense, really what we're saying is, yeah, that fits with my cognitive biases. And so people blame all sorts of things for autism: plastics, pesticides, the use of antidepressants during pregnancy, GMOs, sugar, gut bacteria, and vaccines. Basically, you start with whatever makes the most sense to the person doing the hypothesizing. The onset of autism typically happens in one of two ways. Either parents notice a delay in language development, typically around the first birthday, or they notice an apparently sudden loss of existing development, which might happen all the way through the third birthday. Now, humans are pattern recognition machines. We need to be able to figure out what behaviors and strategies lead to positive outcomes. But even more than that, we're on the lookout for things that lead to negative outcomes. This overweighting of negative outcomes is a well-known psychological effect called negativity bias. So imagine you wake up one morning and your car doesn't work. Your brain is gonna want to know what happened. Did you leave your lights on? Did you drive through a huge puddle yesterday and maybe shorted something out? There has to be some reason why it won't start. On the other hand, if you get in a 15-year-old car and it starts up just fine after having had a bad week of barely getting going, you tend not to wonder, what went right? We spend far more cognitive resources attempting to figure out why a bad thing happened than we do trying to determine why something good happened. In psychology, the search for these explanations is called explanatory attribution, and different people have different explanatory styles. Some people are more prone to blame themselves, while others search for an external event to blame. But one thing is clear: we are very bad at not blaming anything. It's not surprising that parents of children with autism, especially parents who notice a sudden loss of previous development, will search for a possible cause. And when the most significant recent event in the health of a child was a vaccination, as can be said for many moments in the life of a young American, we might identify that as a potential cause and deem that link worthy of further examination. Now, this is completely logical. The problem is that over a dozen peer-reviewed papers have found no correlation between autism and the MMR vaccine, or any other vaccine for that matter. And yet, when you Google vaccines and autism, a fair number of the results claim that there is a link between the two, and that link is being covered up either by the government or by big corporations. A parent already experiencing frustration with the medical community's inability to tell them why this thing has happened to their child will, on the internet, find a vibrant community of similarly frustrated people who share their values and experiences. These communities are full of anecdotes that draw connections between vaccines and autism, and so unsurprisingly, some people become convinced that they have found the reason for their child's disability. Once their mind has been made up, confirmation bias sets in. Confirmation bias is simply our tendency to more readily, and with less scrutiny, accept information, anecdotes, and worldviews that confirm our existing beliefs. And again, it is a completely normal thing that every person does. Indeed, trying to convince someone that a previously held belief is incorrect has been proven to actually increase their affinity for that idea. And so a community is born, and the safety of vaccines is called into question. And once the procedure for getting a vaccine goes from the doctor telling you that it is now time for a vaccine, and 99% of parents agreeing because that person went through medical school, to it being a question to ponder, vaccination rates will go down. A 2011 study showed that parents who think about vaccines before their child is born are 8 times less likely to vaccinate their children. Basically, when given an opportunity to do research on their own, what they find is confusing. And when confused, the default choice is to simply take no action. And this is an example of yet another bias called omission bias. In effect, we judge harmful actions as less moral than harmful inactions or omissions. In fact, a frequently cited study found that when the choice to vaccinate is framed as an action, the average parent will only vaccinate their child if not vaccinating is at least 2 times more dangerous than vaccinating. This has to do with our perception of future regret. Parents report that they'll feel worse if they take an action and it harms their child than if they don't act and the child is harmed by a failure to act. This perception of potential regret can be so strong that even bringing up the choice of acting versus non-acting seems to be counterproductive. A 2013 study found that attempts to convince parents to vaccinate their children actually decreased the percentage who went on to choose vaccination. If vaccination is presented as a personal choice instead of a necessity for good public health, then potentially harmful inaction can seem more moral than potentially harmful action, and vaccination rates go down. Parents are choosing to let nature take its course. And as you might expect, this effect is much stronger in people with a measurable naturalness bias. This is just a tendency to perceive things that come from nature as being inherently less threatening than things that we invent ourselves. One way psychologists measure this bias is by asking a subject if they'd prefer a substance extracted from an herb or one synthesized in a lab, even if they're chemically identical. And of course, others have biases against big government or big corporations, and these ideas about vaccinations fit well with those worldviews. Confirmation bias at work again. But even people who don't hold these biases end up being more likely not to vaccinate if they start doing research before their baby is born. This is because of another failure of the human brain. We are terrible at what psychologists call risk perception. Given the merest sliver of a possibility that vaccines will cause developmental disorders, parents are now weighing a disease they have seen, autism, against diseases they have never seen. Since the 1970s, measles has been pretty much unheard of. The measles doesn't scare people my age for the same reason a giant man-eating squirrel doesn't scare us. We've never seen it. Risk perception is basically a science all on its own, and we've found that vague future hazards, like the future probability of an illness, are far less frightening than immediate specific hazards, like the sudden onset of autism. So amazingly, the success of vaccines is one of the reasons that people are less likely to vaccinate their children. So yes, it turns out humans are complicated, and this is a complicated problem. Humans are inherently bad at understanding the effects of self-selecting samples like online anti-vaccine forums, and often completely unable to accept that a negative outcome could really be the result of something that's beyond their control, and still not very well understood. This is not an anti-vaxxer problem, it's a human problem. Those of us who trust science or have built an understanding of statistics and bias simply have had different lives than people who more heavily weight anecdotes or the opinions of their friends, or strangers they meet online who feel the same way. So next time you find yourself frustrated about the decline in vaccinations in America, remember that it's only because of the dramatic success of vaccines that we could even think of having this debate. And those anti-vaccine activists are being driven by the exact same logic traps and cognitive biases that every one of us suffers from. Only by understanding and accepting these psychological pitfalls that we're all so susceptible to will we be able to solve this problem, and that is what science is all about. Thanks for watching this episode of SciShow.
Everyone's got a bias. I played that video on purpose just to mess with you. What's he saying? Yeah, faster than me maybe, I don't know. So, I saw that video and I just, again, this is not about, well, Dr. Joe says this, Dr. Joe says that. No, you need to develop your own bias. Because some of you, after watching that video, might have talked you out of some completely different things. There's our Leah Roney, okay? That video right there could have talked you out of 5 years of something, who knows? And there's things in it that I could sit and pick apart, I won't, but we'll dissect everything he said. And you're like, what? What? I showed it to my team, and they're like, well, I'm like, yeah, I want to mess with their heads. I want to scramble it up a little bit here. Let you know that bias is one thing, but everyone has a bias. Everyone has a bias. Now, the question is your bias going to profit you and help you achieve your goal, which is to what? Have a healthy child. Have a healthy life. Have a great life, right? That's the whole point is how's your bias working out so far? And would you like to add more or take away from it so that you get what you want in 5 years? That's really what it's all about. Regardless of what he just said. Regardless of what anyone says. Okay? So, money or safety? Right now there's a big uproar about these airplanes that weren't made right, and two of them crashed, right? And so they grounded them. And the people are saying, well, the company that made the planes, they put money first, not people's safety. So the government grounded the planes. No one's using them, right? Well, the problem is there's lots of things out there still that they're making money off of too much to simply to ground these governmental, these things that we do in the name of health. And yet safety is not even taken into account because the profit is too high. Okay? They're making too much money getting me to believe that the law of gravity isn't true. And it's especially not true for your child. And if you believe it is, then that's just your wrong bias and you're stupid. Okay? So never forget. Say never forget.
Never forget.
We live in a war zone. Question everything. Question everything. Why? Because the Bible says, John 10:10, that the thief comes and steals and kills and destroys. There's no bad people. There's some things I'm going to talk about that really aren't a good choice. And if you've done that in the past, I love you. You didn't know any better. Or you were lied to. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. There's no guilt here. Why? Because we live in a war zone. People don't realize the evil behind pulling those strings that they don't even know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we just had Easter, right? Did Judas really know what he was doing when he led people to Jesus? I'll just use that analogy. No. He didn't. I mean, he knew afterwards, right? But evil was pulling his strings, making him do what he wanted to do, what he needed to do, right? And there's a lot of that going on. And so people don't even understand. A lot of these people don't even understand who they're working for or who's pulling their strings and why they're saying what they're saying because they've never checked their own bias or their own personal health philosophy. Does that make sense? So when someone's being mean or not, they don't, just like Jesus said, forgive them. They don't even know what they're doing. They don't know what they're saying. If your 2-year-old looks at you and goes, I hate you, you're like, whatever. You're like, you know, really that's kind of how I look at a lot of these things. I couldn't give this talk 15, 20 years ago. I was just too angry. I'd rip it, I'd yell, I'd scream. Some of you were here back then. I'd just be one angry, you know what. And now I'm like, I don't know if I'm older or I just don't care anymore. The law of gravity is true. If you don't like it, that's your problem, not mine. You know, that's just kind of where I'm at. And so the 3 T's happen to everyone. Say 3 T's.
3 T's.
Doesn't matter where you are. You can go to Dubai, you can go to Africa, you can go to England, you can go to Chicago, you can go to Detroit. The 3 T's are there. The 3 T's are there. And they're all over the world. And again, there's one thing you can count on. One thing you can count on, like the law of gravity, is that the 3 T's are going to happen to you. One way or another. And they're going to happen to your baby. They're going to happen to your child. They're there. It's called living, just being alive. Being alive is a contact sport. The mission is to overcome them daily, not live in fear and try to avoid them, right? You ever doctor say, you need to get rid of your stress. Okay, you go first, right? You need to stop worrying so much. Okay, no, stress is part of making you stronger. It's good for you. It makes you get off your butt and go to work sometimes, okay? And learn to deal with those 3 T's on a daily basis. And so here's the 3 T's. The way you think, trauma, and toxins. You can't avoid them. Those are one of the constant, consistent things. And it happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year, in a 360-degree radius. You can't escape it. So as soon as you understand that you can have it, any minute you can be thinking positive about something, or you can be thinking negative about something. You can feed your faith and believe it's going to be okay, or you can start feeding your fear and tailspin and your life go out of control. Okay? You can have traumas, slips, falls, accidents, birth trauma happen. It happens. Is that because you're a bad person? No. It's because we live, this is where we live. Trauma happens. Okay? And the last thing is toxins. Now, I will tell you, 100 years ago, there was a little bit of toxins. Now, over the last 100 years, there's a whole lot more toxins. Like the video said, we don't really know why, but the environment, duh. Okay? That's his bias. Okay? But again, you're going to see that your ability to raise a healthy family, a healthy child for her and I was because we woke up every morning and realized we're in a war zone. That any time you can get a phone call from your daughter saying, we were in a car accident on the way driving in, trauma happens. What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. 3 T's happen. Poop happens. Okay? But if you know how to think and you made yourself healthy and strong, then you know how to deal with them. Now here's the problem. Thinking, trauma, and toxins have made children really, really, really unhealthy. Would you say the health of children has gotten better or gotten worse over the last 20, 50, 30, 100 years? Worse. Teachers, you see these kids like every year, it's like, what's coming in here, right? And I want to take a minute for the Children's Health Defense Network. This is one of our advocates, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He runs that. I believe he's Bobby Kennedy's son who got shot, unfortunately. But this is the problem. Their whole big thing is that, and now you'll see this in a minute, that children are getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and we really see a lot of it is because of toxins. Now, there's also thinking and trauma. They don't see all of that, but their big thing is making the environment healthier so our children can be healthier. And they're right. They're partially right on that. So right now, everybody say 54%. Over half of every child in America is sick, meaning they're on medications. They have a chronic disease process going inside their body. 54%. That is mind-blowing because they were never made to have any of those things. Something went wrong. They were created in God's image. They weren't created to have that. So when that shows up, something's wrong. It may be common. All your friends and all your children's friends may have it, but it doesn't have to be there, okay? And so understand, when I look at the health of our children right now, 1 in 3 overweight, 1 in 6 have learning disabilities, 1 in 9 have asthma, 1 in 10 have ADHD, 1 in 12 have food allergies, 1 in 20 suffer from seizures, 1 in 50 have autism. And when you read these statistics, they're all going to keep getting worse. Is that a problem? Say yes or yes. Yes. What happened to little Debbie over the last 40 years? What are we doing? Because we all want what? Healthy, happy children. We all want that, but it seems like the more we want that, it's slipping away from us, and we're getting, now over half the children are what we don't want. Does that make sense? Even when you get older into teenagers and stuff, it's like we don't want that, but we don't know what to do, right? So welcome to Drug-Free America, okay? This is Drug-Free America. And again, antibiotics, age 0 to 4. Ritalin, age 4 to 12. Appetite suppressants, age 12 to 18. Right? Let's just stop there. The purpose of the talk is for right here, right? But Drug-Free America, no, not Drug-Free America. And so how is your philosophy working so far as raising your child or raising your family? Do you see depression and illness, obesity, anxiety, and disease in your culture, in your philosophy, in your family? If not, then it's time to change. And that's what it's all about. But you got to change how you think first, because what you think shows what you believe shows how you act, and how you act can create your habits. If I can help you fix your belief, or you have a better belief about something, then we can set you up for success and you get what you want. Does that make sense? Because again, if you're not forming your own bias, then you'll be controlled by somebody else's bias, somebody else's rules, all right? So are you living your life to please your parents right now? Right? There's a reason why we live in Colorado and our parents were in Michigan. Just saying. It's a lot easier to raise a family for us. I mean, we'd have figured it out, but here's the thing. Good luck trying to tell Mrs. Arve or me, well, you're wrong. We're like, pfft. So they're a little cocky. The law of gravity, it really wasn't. It was like the law of gravity, like, yeah, right, okay, let's see how that's working for you, right? But school, are you believe what this? Well, little Jimmy's a little antsy, but you need to put him on some Ritalin, right? Or your doctor's report, or what work says about you, or social media says about you. How about developing your own report, what you say about you? I want you to have that confidence and that fire about the law of gravity about yourself to control your own life, because you're going to be somewhere in 5 years. Where do you want to be? I give you permission to be wherever you want to be. And don't let anybody else tell you where you should be, right? Learn from others, right? But you be where you want to be. And so here's the analogy first I want to teach you, right? And why do I teach you this? Because this is something I hang my hat on. This has been true since the beginning of time, and this is this is my anchor. This is my rock. The law of gravity is my rock. It's a universal law. But there's other things out there that just make common sense to me, right? So what color should healthy grass be? Green, right? And you have this in your handout. I'll get through it. Now, who made it that way? God did, right? And so here's the thing. When I take the grass seed and I put it in the ground and I cover it up and I begin to water the grass, what will that grass do? What will that grass seed do? It'll grow. and then it tells me it's green, right? To me, it's healthy to us. So that grass knows how tall to grow, what color to turn, how wide to be, how to react. It knows everything, right? How does that grass know that? It's in the seed. Who said innate? Did you say innate? Oh, Leah. Yeah. Yeah, it's got it. Innate. You can teach this class. The seed. I don't have to worry whether the grass knows what to do when I water it. My job's to water it. The seed knows. Everybody say the seed knows.
Seed knows.
That's the other thing that I know. The seed knows what to do. My job's to water it. Okay? If I don't water it, what will the green grass begin to do?
Turn brown.
Turn brown. Why? Because that's what the seed says to do, to warn me, to say, hey, I need some water. So the power is in the seed, right? And the power of your seed is in you as well. It needs no help, just no interference. You're very smart. You're very capable. You're very powerful. But see, the thing is that green grass health, green grass zone, is where God created you to be. That's where you want your child and your health to be as soon as possible, or like I say, within 5 years. Right now, with what you've been told or believing, right now you're in the brown grass zone because of the 3 T's: toxins, trauma, and stinking thinking. That's what puts our bodies in the brown grass zone. And if we keep living with those traumas, and we keep putting those toxins in, and we keep with the stinking thinking and feeding our fear, not our faith, then your body has no other choice than to react like not watering the grass and go from brown grass to dead grass. We did it ourselves. God's not mad at you. The thing is that you were never taught how to live and to accept in the reality of the 3 T's on a daily basis. Is this making any sense yet? Okay? I'm so far behind right now, it's not even funny. I got another 8 hours at least, okay? But that's the key right there. That's the key. So everything I do for you, I'm going to teach you, is to A, keep your children in the green grass zone. But if they do end up brown grass, then get them back to green grass and then keep them there. That's what it's all about. And so you have 6 ways, and your first handout, you have 6 options to live and be in green grass. The way you think, the way you exercise, the way you eat, the way you detox yourself, your brain and nerve system, and searching for medical help, okay? Now, here's the problem though. There's a very strong bias to help you understand that whenever anything goes wrong, to run to which circle? Medical help. So let's stop for a second and talk about the medical circle only focus. Well, I can't get pregnant. What do? I go to the doctor. He gives me something, he does something, a procedure to now make my body do something maybe that's not ready to do yet. Maybe it's not healthy. I don't know. But we go to the medical circle to get pregnant. Then once we're pregnant, what do? We go to the medical circle to help manage this pregnancy. And there's ultrasounds, and there's different things, and they want you to do flu shots, all kinds of stuff. It's not an act of God, this pregnancy. It's another medical procedure, another circle for you to go to. Then when it's time to have the baby, where you go? Well, we had one in a hospital. We had the other 3 at home because our bias changed. Sometimes, like I said, you may not know what the answer is, but you know what not to do. When we were pregnant with Leah, we didn't know. There's a lot we were learning, but we didn't know, so we did the best thing. We had her in the hospital. And they induced her with Pitocin. They put a fetal monitor on her head, and we had to pay the consequences from not knowing. We didn't have everybody come around us and say, you really should have a home birth. We might have listened. I don't know. But we did the best we could. So our bias at that time said, have the home birth. My mom's a labor delivery nurse. That's all we knew. That's what we did. And we got through it. Okay? And there was consequences because of that down the road. But once you're pregnant, you can go to medical help if you want to get rid of that pregnancy. It's your choice. Up until the day before that child's born, it's your choice to go to the medical circle and have them end that pregnancy. What SideNet says, if that medical circle has that belief system and that bias that it's okay to end that life before it's born, then I kind of question anything else they tell me. Whether it's medication, shots, surgeries, vaccines, because if in this industry, now infanticide and sending these babies to heaven as a medical procedure, then I have to call into question everything else that they tell us is okay as well. Yeah, does that make sense? Okay? Told you I'd get on it. I'm just saying, you gotta just realize it's not a silver bullet thing. You gotta look at the world as a whole, right? And you can get really depressed if you don't have faith, because it's everywhere, really. Newsflash, it's everywhere. And so your philosophy growing up on TV, you watch it, the drug ads, all that stuff is to get you to really just simply believe, because insurance covers it, therefore it must be okay. And if insurance doesn't cover the medical care, then I don't need it. I shouldn't have to use it because they would only cover something that I needed. That's a bias, again, a bias for a medical circle only focus. Salutogenic versus pathogenic bias. Salutogenic is what we teach here. Pathogenic is what they talk about. Salutogenic is, let's keep oil level in the car so the oil light never comes on. Pathogenic is, well, let's just drive the car, and when the oil light comes on, then we'll put duct tape over it, or we'll cut the oil light out. That's kind of the healthcare model, the bias that is most popular in America. Let's just say that. The salutogenic healthcare model we've applied to our life, and it's given us the success that we wanted. No oil lights on, okay? And so, oil light bias or oil level bias, you have a choice. You can do things on a daily basis to keep your health at a good state because the 3 T's are happening. So you focus every day on being healthy. Therefore, when the 3 T's do happen, they don't have an effect on you. Or you can simply be you can just simply ignore them, pretend they're not there, listen to the medical circle only, and that when you have a problem and the oil light comes on, the medical circle says go and have duct tape. You know, like, why would you go to the doctor? You feel fine. Well, fine is an F word in this office because fine doesn't tell us anything. And so your oil light comes on, you put duct tape over it, and you keep driving the car. What's going to happen to the engine? Blows up, right? Maybe that's why we have 54% of our children now sick, and it's getting worse, right? Or if you're not tired of using, if you can't afford duct tape, then they cut the oil light out. You can still keep driving the car, but again, what's the end result? And there you are. There you are. And so I want you all to begin to think about, is this an oil light bias or an oil level bias? Is this person trying to talk me into keeping my oil in the car level? Because here's the thing. The only way you know where your oil is with a dipstick, right? What if I was a duct tape maker and I passed laws to remove all the dipsticks from the cars and make them illegal to use? And I was in the business of selling duct tape for the oil light. Would my bias make me money? But would my bias affect your safety of your car? Who cares? I'm making money, right? Or if I was a person who cut out the oil lights, then that money I made, I would put towards legislation to outlaw dipsticks. Get them removed completely. If you're a dipstick person, then you're a bad person, you're evil, you don't care. You're making all the cars unhealthy. I'm just saying, okay? And here's the other thing. You want good grades for your child, right? But you make them study with all the kids who are getting F's because they're more fun. They're having a good time. They're on social media. But when you look at their grades, they're getting all F's. Well, if your goal was to get A's, then what would you tell your child, or what would you start hanging out with? The smart kids, right? So am I biased for wanting to follow the A students? Or am I just being smart? Because the F's are just saying there's no law of gravity. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Everybody's doing it, right? Not smart kids. Smart kids are getting A's. And sometimes you got to figure out how to get the A's. It's not easy. But you know what not to do. Don't hang out with the people who are failing, right? Just making any sense? Is this good so far? Okay. So where does health come from? Where does it come from? How do I find this thing that I want for my child? Does it come from a box of pills? Does it come from shots? Does it come from surgery? Does it come from all these different things that they're trying to tell us to do, to bully us or big shot us into doing this? Because again, Do I have to pass a law to force everyone to drink Starbucks? No, right? So, and my point of saying is that, so why do we have to pass all these things to force us to do things that's my thought process goes. Okay, so where do I find health? Well, again, you're a body, you're a mind, and a spirit. So is your child. Again, you form my inward parts. You knitted me together. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. That's in Psalms 139. That's in the Bible. So when you read that, you have a choice. I can use this to feed my faith and go, okay, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Look in the mirror and say it to you 10 times. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Who made me? God. So I am who he says I am. I can do what he says I can do. I can have what he says I can have. It's in the Bible. It's called feeding your faith. If you don't, you'll go crazy. If you only believe in what man tells you and your faith's in them, there's part of the problem. Or what social media, or trying to please your friends and do what the F students are doing. That will make you crazy. That will make you crazy. And so, do I take this at full value? Absolutely. Does it always make, do I understand all of it? No. But I just know that 2 plus 2 isn't 5, and that's all I need to know right now, okay? And so I literally take every one of these promises. And if I don't understand it, fine. It doesn't mean that I can ignore it. It's there until he reveals it to me. Until he reveals it to me, the truth, right? And so again, seed power. Everybody say seed power. So conception, pregnancy, birth, childhood, all start from the seed. Mom and dad get together. God blows on it. That sperm and egg becomes a life at conception. It's a life. I don't care what laws or whoever what says. The law of gravity is real. It's a life. If God didn't blow on it, then it's not a life. Until God blows, it is a life. And not necessarily a life you need to take to the medical circle right away. Okay? But the seed knows how to grow you in 9 months. You don't come out at 15 months. Amen. Although you thought maybe, And you don't come out if you come out at 5 months, why is that a problem? Too soon. You're not done cooking yet, right? What's cooking you? The seed. The seed in you. Right now, the seed's telling your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe. If you cut your arm, the seed heals you, the brain, the power, right? The seed knows. It needs no help. No help. Just no interference. Just no interference. Because toxins, traumas, and stinking thinking happen every day. So if you live every day to continue to clear the interference out of the way on a daily basis, then the seed can do its job. Restore, repair, regenerate, restore, repair on a daily basis. Detox, adapt, move and adapt, okay? It can do that as long as you live with that knowledge. So the seed already has a plan for you. When you're pregnant, you know again, God, clean science, ancient wisdom, volumes. I got all my books here just if I had to throw them at people in case someone walked in and didn't agree with me. But again, all these stuff, right? But pregnancy, infant, toddler, child, preteen, teen, 20-something, 30-something, again, needs no help, just no interference. You're that powerful. You're that powerful. I may have a slide, but mommies, again, what did you have to do? I know you had to do at conception, okay, let's not go there. But what did you have to do while you were pregnant? Just stay alive. Just stay healthy. God took, man completely got out of the picture, but now it's like your power grew that baby, right? The seed in you. And then once that baby's born, you ejected that thing out. And then God gave it so you had breast milk to feed the baby because the first 6 months, baby has no immune system. It gets its antibodies and its protection from mommy's breast milk. Well, the doctor said I should use formula. Well, guess what? That's a shield down decision. We need to get Stephanie to make some breast milk for you and get it to you. But then you make the breast milk and to get the antibodies, but then the thymus gland in the baby's chest is 3 times larger than it normally is for the first 6 months because that's where it defends everything. And then what do babies do? They put everything in their mouth, right? And they drool, right? That's your IgM and your IgA antibodies going to work and taking this big giant germ or antigen and breaking it down so by the time it gets to your bloodstream, it can handle it. And when it handles it, it gets stronger. So you get stronger and stronger and stronger. That's the power of the seed. It's right there with you, right? And so it has a plan for everything you need. You're not left alone. You're not left alone. You're not abandoned. The seed's there. And again, if God's going to blow on that seed, you're here for a purpose and a reason. You're here for a purpose and a reason. So again, the answer's in the seed. It needs no help for conception, pregnancy, birth, ointment in your eyes, toxic shots, formula, fever, runny nose, skin rash, cough, congestion, teething, constipation, fuzzy, colic, ear infections, digestion, not growing, thrive, not latching, floaty eyes, ear infection. If that's happening in your child, there's something affecting that. It's either a trauma or a toxin or it's stressed out mom. Don't take this the wrong way, moms. Sometimes I want to give you something, not the child, to help the situation become better. I'm just saying. Okay? But so there's something going wrong, possibly. Okay? Or it's just part of the seed growing the body up. Again, Hippocrates, father of medicine, made these statements centuries ago. Children are created to be healthy as long as they're whole, body, mind, and spirit. Children are characterized by self-healing properties that come within an innate healing force. Health and harmony is a normal state of life. Again, green grass is your promise. Being healthy is your promise. If you don't see that going, if you see all this going on in your life, something could be wrong because of the trauma, the toxins, or the stress the child's going through. They're not lacking medication, shots, or surgery. Now, if it's an emergency, yeah. We had a little guy come in the other day. He broke his collarbone. Go to the emergency room. Get it fixed. That's an emergency. But now we'll get back on track to overcome that trauma so that you get through it and it doesn't have to come back and bite you. Right? Okay. Okay. And then again, this is for you, Leah. The classic medical textbook, Grey's Anatomy, not the TV show. Okay? Tells you that, again, where does health come from? Where am I going to find this for my baby? Right? The central nervous system is the master control system of the body. It functions all the cells, all the muscles, and all the organs. It's now widely accepted that a healthy immune system supports healthy nervous system function and vice versa. So health comes from within. It comes from your brain and spinal cord. It comes from your brain and spinal cord. Again, God blew on that sperm and egg. First thing you formed was your brain. Then your spinal cord. Then everything grew and budded off of that so that in 9 months you came out working perfectly. It's your brain and nerve system that organizes all of that. Your ability to kill off germs, your ability to fight off infection, your ability to get healthy and heal, all comes from your brain and nerve system. That's where it starts. That's where it starts. And again, where does health come from? Additionally, research shows that the brain uses nerve cells to communicate directly with the immune system. Okay? Again, I know this is old, right? Some of you over 50, you know who Christopher Reeves is, right? But he was riding a horse looking like this. He fell off the horse and broke his neck. He hurt his nerve system. So what happened to his organs, muscles, emotions, and body? They shut down. Had he broken his arm or a leg, would his nerve system have shut down? No. So you wouldn't have seen all of this happen. But he broke his brainstem and spine. Therefore, to get him back to here, does he need more medication? More shots, more food, better attitude, a positive detox? No. That's not the problem. He has a power problem. Where does that come from? Your brain and nerve system. So if you want your child to be healthy and strong, they have to have their power on to make sure that brain is doing what you want it to do. Okay? What you are hoping or told that the medication shots do, your brain and nerve system does for you. Much better, much stronger, because God made it that way. It's God's natural defense system. It knows. Okay? Health does not come from a bottle of pills. Health does not come from in a syringe. Those are toxins. So in your handout, you have a list of all the nerves that are their job is to make you healthy and strong and vibrant and fully alive, to get you where you want to be in 5 years, especially with trauma. Okay? The most trauma hits hardest at the spine and nerve system, starting at birth. When you correct that, it opens up everything else. It opens all those nerves to do their job so that when you have stinking thinking or toxins attack you, it can fight it off. A strong nerve system allows you to get through life much stronger than anything else. It's the constant, I don't know what I was going to say. Okay. The nerve system holds the key to the body's incredible potential to heal itself. And that's what you want as far as your goal. Okay? That's what you want as far as your goal. When does it start, though? the birth process, right? I mean, as soon as the baby's head is shown, because again, having a baby is a medical procedure, medical procedure. So you go to the doctor, and he or she will pull on the head, right, and twist, right? Or forceps, or vacuum extraction, or cesarean birth, or breech birth. And so within your first minutes of life, this nerve system has been traumatized. Now, when did you go to the chiropractor to get it checked and get it corrected? Some of you have. Some of you came to your house and made the adjustment. Power's back on. That baby's doing now what you want. Going back from stop making brown grass, now going to green grass. Now, imagine some of you are here and you're watching, and you were never taught to brush your teeth. Now you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. What kind of teeth would you have? It'd be rotten, right? Yeah, it'd be crazy, right? Yeah, in America, we would never do that because culturally, we have a bias is as soon as that tooth shows up, start brushing it. So we have a bias right now, taught to us by the dentists, that as soon as you get a tooth, brush it if you want to keep them, right? And yet trauma happens every day, and yet no one's ever taught you to go ahead and get this baby checked. Matter of fact, there's arguments again on social media that you're barbaric and you're cruel. How dare you touch that baby's spine? Yeah, go ahead and inject toxins into their body. It's fine. You're a bad parent if you don't. And you're a bad parent if you allow this baby to get adjusted and not ever get it checked for birth trauma. Again, it's just my bias. But when should you get your first adjustment? The minute you're born. Or come to the house. Why? Because trauma can happen to this nerve system. Then here's the power that made you, and here's the power that's going to help you reach your goals of having a healthy child, successful, right? It's right here. Why would you ignore this? Well, they say you're, I don't care what they say. They say there's no law of gravity either. All I know is that the Bible and ancient wisdom and science says, you check this nerve system right here. Dr. Gutman said 80% of all children get a bone pinched within the first year of life, and that causes their autonomic being out of balance. That means the nervous system that runs everything is out of balance. Well, that's going to interfere with your goal of having a healthy child. Yeah, it's going to shut it down. It's going to shut it down. So that's why we like taking care of babies. We want more babies in here. I should pass a state law. It says the minute your child's born, they have to be adjusted. How about that, huh? You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's just play the game. Let's just play the game, right? You don't want me president. I'd probably get shot before I got elected. Twice. They'd be like, hit him from the front. I mean, seriously, though. I mean, how crazy would that be, right? Okay. So, thinking, right? So, again, thinking. What was the first thing that is going to interfere with my baby being healthy? Birth trauma. We've got to get your child adjusted, right? You got to get your family adjusted. Again, if you're not, we'll figure it out. Financially, we'll figure it out time-wise. Make an appointment. Get your family checked so we can check them for birth trauma. I don't care if they're 1. I don't care if they're 5. I don't care if they're 25, 35, 45, or 75. Doesn't matter, right? Let's start here. This is what really sets everybody free. Because there's giving away my talk. So trauma is the first. Everybody say trauma. Okay. Next one is thinking. Thinking. Our children are being told lies. 1 in 5 children now being diagnosed with mental health problem. ADHD, right? Suicide rates are getting worse. Depression's getting worse. Right now, there's over 8 million U.S. children on 8 million children in America on psychotropic medications. Top 2 side effects is suicide and homicide. Every school shooting has been linked to one of these medications. We want to make baby happy. So give him a psychotropic medication. That's a bias that you're being taught. You're being told. Money over safety, but it's right there. Bullies and big shots are forcing you because if you don't, then you're a bad parent. So listen to this. Look at that. There's 274,000 less than 1 year old on psychotropic medications. 2 to 3 years, 370, 6 to 12 years old, 4 million children. Why? Because trauma and toxins are shutting off their brain and they don't know how to think because they're disconnected. So now we're going to put them on another toxin in their body to try to calm them down. You keep shoving those symptoms deeper into the body, you make them angry. They have no filters. They shoot themselves or they're going to shoot their friend. And again, I'm not being poo-poo on it. Again, Columbine, Parkland, all these shootings, okay, again, We're not fixing the problem. We're just simply putting duct tape on their emotions, and we're asking for trouble. Okay? And it's not me. Look up Dr. Peter Bregan, MD. Tells us in so many words, the equation is quite simple. More psychiatric meds, more mass shootings. It's right there. All we want is a healthy child. But the way we're going about to make them happy may not be what we want. And we need to switch gears and change our habits. Okay? Again, toxins now, right? I'm done with the introduction. Now we're going to get warmed up for the talk. Are you kidding me? You can't put poison in a child's body and expect to see better health. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't care how popular it is. I don't care what your pediatrician says, right? I'll compare, this is a good one, thank you, Lord. I'll compare the health of my children's, of Stephanie's family and everybody else who comes in here, to any pediatrician you've got, children. Matter of fact, I'll compare my files of how many of my patients actually who do what we say, not even 100%, because even I don't do 100%. And the cancer rate and the heart attack rate is like on my hand, 5. Right? Now, are there some people that just for some reason, it's just like, what's going on here? And I don't understand it? Yeah. So it's not a perfect, but it's a whole lot better than people tell me there's no such thing as a law of gravity. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my bias is at least working, right? 99.9% of the time. But again, I can tell you what not to do, even though I may have a patient that's not getting better like they want right now, like with my daughter, and I'll go to that in a minute. We still kept doing what we're doing, right? We might not saw the effects yet, but we still kept watering the grass. And we didn't just botch everything and go take half our brain out to stop seizures and stuff like that. I mean, that's not the answer. So I'm saying, so if you're watching this and you're like, well, I've done everything and it's not working, I get that. But how bad would your life been if you weren't doing that? How brown would your grass be if you weren't getting adjusted and thinking positive and praying and doing all of that? You know what I'm saying? So I don't have all the answers. I'm still winging it, but I got a pretty good wing going, okay? And if what I don't know, she figures it out. So again, the toxins are in our food. If you can't pronounce what's in your children's food, don't eat it. And this is just a sample of it. Well, we had a lot of kids come in all sick and stuffy. Why? Simple. 2 words. Easter candy. Easter candy. Oh, Easter candy. I said, how much Easter candy do you have? They're like, how do you know that? I said, because you got snot coming out your nose. And when you don't, you know. Again, Lunchables, right? Lunchables. Well, here's the ingredients in a Lunchables. Might that have a negative impact on your child? Shake your head, yes. Okay? Here's a milkshake. There's no strawberries, or is there any milk there? But we'll buy it because they'll sell it to us, right? And again, what's worse than sugar? The pink pack, the blue pack, the yellow pack, aspartame in the children's not sugar-free, right? Again, irreversible brain damage with the artificial sweeteners, artificial sugarers, right? And yet we go ahead, they're all over the place. They're in what your child drinks. Oh, it's sugar-free, don't worry. Yeah, we're rotting their brain out. Well, if it's so bad for you, why would they sell it to us? Money over safety. Simple. It's the American way. Money over safety. You have to have your own personal health philosophy to say that's not going to happen. A, it's not going to help me lose weight. And B, it's going to have a toxic effect on me to make me gain weight. Right? Okay? So artificial immunity. Okay. Are you ready? Here we go. Artificial immunity. Okay, there's a term called artificial immunity that means that I take a syringe, I fill it full of a bunch of toxic chemical poisons, and I inject it into my body. My body reacts to it and makes antibodies. And again, the bias says, oh, that body's making antibodies, we're done. And I'll get into this in a minute. The problem is that you had an antibody reaction, but you did not get healthier. You actually got sicker. Your body released its IgG. Everybody say IgG. Okay? IgG. When you got injected, you bypassed all the natural God-given defense mechanisms, and you injected 10 million or more antigen, germs, junk, formaldehyde, blood from animals, aborted fetal tissue, derivatives like almost like antifreeze, but not quite, plus all kinds of other stuff. Mercury, aluminum. So your IgG went to work. And anytime you come in contact now with that antigen or germ, your IgG gets released every single time. It's called one-on-one antigen, okay? The problem is that IgG is like Brock Osweiler. And you can't get a better quarterback. He has to come and play every time. Second string goes in. So you have an artificial or a immune response that is weakened. Weakened immune response from the practice of artificial immunity, which is what we know as vaccination today. Okay? In theory, it sounds good. I don't want mumps. Inject my body with mumps. It'll build up an antibody against it, and I'm protected. In theory, that works fine, but they don't take into account that you're made by God, not man. When you're made by God, you need to eat food made by God so that He can help you heal His way. You get germs, and I'll get into it in just a second. But that's the whole thing about vaccines. Okay? That's why you have problems, and that's why it doesn't work, because you're bypassing the way God made your body to fight these same germs and bugs and things off, right? So when your IgG gets released, it's a secondary immune response, and you're stuck with it, so that now, after 2 to 10 years, all of that wears off. So now you're 15, 20, 25 years old, and you have no natural immunity to anything. That's why they say, well, chickenpox is much worse for you when you're a teenager, or it's even deathly worse when you're an adult. So you should get your shots now. No, 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 no. You had the shots. They wore off. Now you're walking around unprotected, not dealing with the trauma, toxins, and stinking thinking in your life. So now are you green grass or brown grass? Now you get around somebody who is carrying those germs, and they're like, hey, come to me, baby. And they jump on you, and you get sick. You get infected. Now you're sick, but you had your shots. Well, there's more and more measles outbreaks. Yeah, what you got as a child, you don't have anymore. So now mommy's pregnant, and she gets infected with German measles, and now the baby gets it because what they thought she was protected with artificial immunity is not doing her any good. And when you read the drug inserts, now when you get Alzheimer's or these crazy, wacky cancers showing up in children that wasn't there 100 years ago, the fingerprints, those poisons and toxins are right there in the babies or the children with these crazy cancers or these Alzheimer's and stuff like that. Welcome to artificial immunity. Anytime you see a syringe into an arm, just think, okay, it's bypassing the normal process. It can never, I don't care if they make the vaccines green. You can put Kool-Aid in them for as I care. If you inject them into my arm, you're bypassing the normal doors that God put there to form a healthy immunity to fight stuff off and be protected. So don't let them kid you. Well, they're green now. We pulled the mercury out. I don't care. It's still not going to work. Even if everybody says it's okay, if it's a bad idea, it's still a bad idea. And here's all the books. Again, these people, they're not stupid. They're not stupid. And they write books on this stuff, and they're not lying. It's their bias, but no one's paying them to say this stuff, okay? So now, let's just go a little faster. Why are all these children getting sick? It's because what could cause these conditions to arise? Again, the more and more vaccines children get, the vaccine rates go up, and these crazy sicknesses and diseases keep climbing too, okay? Robert F. Kennedy letter. I had this letter. I'll email it to you if you want, but I had him write this letter to one of our representatives, our representative in this area here. And he talked about how I'm the chairman of the board and the senior prosecuting attorney for Children's Health Defense. I spent my legal career fighting against devastating environmental crises like water, pollution, climate change, but I don't think there's any crisis that is devastating or threatening to all of our values and everything we care about as a nation, as a people, than the epidemic of chronic disease in America's children. In 1986, prior to the explosion of vaccine schedule, only 12.4% of America's children had chronic disease. 12%, 13%. 1986. Now it's over 54%. It's getting worse, right? Okay. Today, 54% of children have chronic disease according to the government data. These conditions include ADD, ADHD, speech, or other developmental delays, autism, and the anaphylactic diseases like asthma and food allergies, autoimmune disease like Guillain-Barré syndrome, and juvenile diabetes, multiple sclerosis, and rheumatoid arthritis. We know from the science about all these diseases can be caused by the ingredients in vaccines. And we know that the epidemic of these diseases exploded after the dramatic expansion of the vaccine schedule with the passage of the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. That doesn't mean that all these epidemics are being caused exclusively by vaccines, but it means that we ought to be doing the science. Anybody who tells you that science eliminated vaccines is a culprit in these epidemics, not telling you the truth. Much of the public understanding that the pharmaceutical companies have been able to purchase Congress. They're the largest lobbying entity in Washington, D.C. They have more lobbyists on Capitol Hill than there are congressmen and senators combined. They've turned the regulatory agencies that were supposed to be protecting Americans, and particularly our children, from toxic exposures into their sock puppets. They've compromised the press, undermined the medical establishment, cowed many scientists, and destroyed the publications that publish real science. The same industry benefits tremendously by FDA choice to classify vaccine makers as biologics rather than drugs, which opened a regulatory loophole allowing vaccines to evade any meaningful safety testing. They evaded any meaningful safety testing. Instead of the multi-year double-blind insert placebo studies, the gold standard for safety science that the FDA requires prior to licensing other medications, most vaccines now on the CDC's recommended childhood vaccine schedule were safety tested only for a few days or weeks. Merck has paid out a total of $6.63 billion in lawsuits related to Vioxx. That was a painkiller. The FDA estimates that Vioxx killed 27,785 people. These settlements were for violating marketing laws, patient inquiry, and death lawsuits and lying to shareholders. Again, it wasn't like, oops, we made a mistake. They put money over people's safety. In addition, Merck paid $339 million back in 2008 for defrauding Medicaid over Vioxx and Zocor pricing. This is the same company that's promoting the MMR vaccine as safe and effective, enjoying the blanket of liability protecting through NCVIA. Efforts at the state level are crucial in protecting the health and well-being of our most vulnerable citizens. Decisions regarding childhood vaccination should be made by parents and caregivers, not the government and industry. Parents should never be forced to jump through governmental hoops in order to claim constitutional rights they already have. I urge you as an elected official entrusted to shape state policy that is encumbered by industry influence to do all your power to protect the rights of Colorado parents to make medical decisions for their children. Sincerely, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. Okay? I took a minute because this, again, he's not BSing us. He wants what we all want. But he's also saying, hey, what we're being told isn't necessarily the way to do it. Okay? How to recognize a vaccine reaction. Again, artificial immunity. Promotes swelling, redness, or heat at the injection site. Body rash or hives. Shock and collapse. High-pitched screaming, persistent crying for hours. Extreme sleepiness for long periods of unresponsiveness. Twitching or jerking of the body, arm, leg, or head. Closing of eyes. Weakness or paralysis. Loss of ability to roll over, sit up, stand. Loss of eye contact and awareness of social withdrawal. Head banging or onset of repetitive motions. Excessive bleeding. Breathing problems like asthma. Violent persistent diarrhea. Onset of chronic ear infections, respiratory infections. Loss of memory. Disabling fatigue. Joint pain, muscle weakness. Sleep disturbances. Restlessness. Vision. High fever, over 103. Baby goes in, none of this. Baby comes out within days, and this is now your new child. I would have a bias. If I was the only one in the world that happened to, but in 86, 13%. 2019, 2011, 54%. As the more vaccine rates go up, the more stories you hear like this. So me being a man of reason going, they did A, B is getting worse, maybe I should decide not to do that or hold off on that until we really get this figured out. We'll cross the bridge when we come to it. But I'm sure not going to, I know 2 + 2 may not be 4, but I know it's not 5, so let's just hold off. Can you see the thought process of that? Okay? Because that's what's happening. They say, oh no, there's no such thing. Well, my child was perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden, this toxin got introduced to their body, which All these books say if you put that toxin in your body, this is how the body will react. And when they do blood tests on these children, the toxins are showing up in their bloodstream. The only way it's going to get there is either through the mom's placenta. My children have never had vaccines. You do a heavy mercury or heavy metal test on them, okay, it looks like my wife's because of what she accumulated. So it's all about your buckets from grandma to mom to you. Well, I got vaccinated. I was fine. Yeah, but your buckets are filling up to one day trauma, more toxin, stinking thing, it takes over. But if your bucket's almost ready to full over, and you get that one vaccine, and boom, then you get hit. Okay? Children did not get this 100 years ago. And this medical doctor wrote a book about this saying that our hospitals and schools are filled with injured children, and this stuff wasn't around 100 years ago. And the only thing that changed was the introduction to these toxins in our environment through syringe or through every other thing. So now the four big makers, guess who makes all the vaccines? The four big drug companies, Merck, GlaxoSmithKline, Pfizer, and Sanofi. They make all the vaccines. Okay? They make all the vaccines. And so in 1986, when they changed the wording from medication, they changed the wording, they were losing all their money, not really, because people are suing them from the vaccine damage. So the government passed a law and said, you are no longer liable for the vaccines you make. Because you're doing such a common good for society, you're no longer liable if your vaccine harms somebody. So, guess what happened? It went from a $1 billion a year industry to a $50 billion a year industry. The four drug makers went from making $1 billion a year to $50 billion a year. Okay? So I'll give you 50 billion reasons why they want to force you to lose your human rights to vaccinate. Okay? What if you didn't want all the vaccines, just one or two? You're going to lose that. You lose the right for that. All of them. But then they went ahead and created medication to sell us to treat all the side effects that the medications made. Vaccinations. So they went from $50 billion budget business, dirty business, to now I added up $109 billion. All you want to do is have a healthy child, right? So the outcome of strategic toxic early invention produced lifelong sick customers. That's what it really, so good luck trying to get a medical doctor to sign off on an exemption because he's literally biting the hand that feeds him. You're asking the fox to watch a chicken coop. He makes his income, she makes their income and their life, and if not, they get kicked out. They don't play the game right. And there's 50 billion reasons why. If a legislator votes against vaccines, my own math says they're going to lose $1 million to $2 million in their political career because they're not going to get that pharmaceutical support. I'm just saying. So here's the medications that have been made by the big four to treat the side effects from the vaccines. So Ritalin, EpiPens, Ativar, Venilin, Floricent, Singular, Remicade, I don't know how to say that, Autoimmune, Enbrel, Celebrex, Xeljan, Lycra, and Neurontin for the epilepsy. Those are all made because of the side effects from the toxins. Okay? So again, we understand smoking's bad for you, right? Let's say the tobacco companies made cigarettes, knew they were bad for you, but lied to you. And then when you got lung cancer, they're the ones that made the chemotherapy and all the cancer treatments to feed the fact that they lied to you because of that. Now we would go crazy, right? We finally caught on to that, but we're still allowing that to happen today when it comes to toxicity with those four big drug makers. So now, at least on a cigarette packet it says warning. Smoking by pregnant women may result in fetal injury, premature. At least they're warning you. You have a choice now. You've been warned. You weren't lied to. Oh, you can smoke all you want. That's actually good for you. Oh, no, that was the 60s. Sorry. Right? And now in Europe, the packs, there's some really graphic pictures. I'm like, I can't share this. They were bad. The old Joe would have shared them. Yeah, but the new Joe's like, no. But they have now pictures of lung cancer right on the cigarette pack. Some of these packs right here, where you open them up, they've got like rotted mouths and teeth. You know, from cancer of the tongue or cancer of the mouth from smoking. Trying to get people to stop smoking. Right? I've seen packs say, this will kill you. Please stop. And they just keep smoking, right? Because it's addictive. And so, yeah, at least you've been warned here. Here, you've been lied to. Okay? You've been lied to. And again, bullies and big shots. Again, and here's the thing. It's a human right issue. And they asked Facebook, they asked Google to shut down all the anti-vaccine stuff and not let people see it. Okay? Just saying. Africa, they did DPT vaccines, and when they pull something off in America, they don't throw it away. They just simply use it in Africa, and they're harming more people than doing good in the Dr. Abai study there in Africa. So, you ever heard of herd immunity? Again, first of all, it involves vaccines. So the whole thing is, if we can get more people to get vaccinated, then we'll all be protected. Well, how do you want them to get vaccinated or immunity? Artificial immunity? Yeah, we'll just inject. Sorry, you just lost your argument. And the problem is that overall population vaccine rates are 60% because adults don't want to get vaccinated. But be ready. As soon as all the children have 190% or higher vaccine rates, then good luck trying to get a driver's license or get in on an airplane or get in a passport or whatever without the 15 overcrowd. Now is a whole new market for them. And you won't have any rights to exempt because that's been all taken away and you didn't know it because I'm not going to this talk. I don't have any children. I don't care. I'm done having babies. Yeah, they want you to understand it and not even watch. Right now they try to get a flu shot or a shingles shot, but it's still not going to, it causes more.
The legislature, they're trying to get it.
Yeah. Everybody, yeah, and to force you and lose your rights. Yeah. Hey, you know, give me the right to choose. I'm not saying not. I'm not telling you. You choose whatever you want to do. But you can't be. But you're not going to be. Avoid the consequences either, though. Okay. Here's the whole cool part. Again, what I teach you. Let's just call it good habits. Let's just call it good habits. Okay. If I stopped pooping where I wash, where I eat, and where I live, good things will happen. Okay? If I start washing my food with clean water and start eating that, good things happen. And that's what all the scientists are saying. They're saying, hey, you can't give vaccines any credit for removing all these illnesses because they were done and gone by 1950 as far as measles goes, and that's when they started using the vaccines. They were already on their way out because people changed their lifestyle. Whooping cough, pertussis, was on its way out because of changing lifestyle habits, not because the vaccines or antibiotics came in. Statistically, their own numbers. Scarlet fever was already on its way out before penicillin even came on. It already was running its natural course. So vaccines, they try to take all the credit for saving. They didn't save squat. People stopped pooping where they were eating, sleeping, and washing. When they did that and they started putting good plumbing in and toilets and clean water, all those diseases went away because the environment got better. They went back to green grass. That I don't have all this. Trust me. But this is the decline of people with getting healthier, and the decline of disease went down long before these vaccination, mass vaccine policies went into place. But they'll never tell you that. They'll never tell you that. Okay? Again, they'll take credit for it, but it wasn't. They really didn't save us. That it was water treatment, food safety, organized solid waste disposal, public education about hygiene practices, improvements in crowding. See, everybody would move to a city and you'd get 20 people living in a house, which should only be 4. Well, that was a breeding ground for disease. They made that illegal in Chicago, and the cholera epidemic, I believe, or typhoid, went away. Okay? So now natural immunity. Natural immunity is when I see a bug on the ground and I eat it. And I chew it up. Or I sneeze on you, achoo, right? Because I told you all, Dr. Joe, I can't come in because I'm sick. I don't want to get you sick. So what you're saying is if you cough on me, you'll get me sick. Well, I feel good today. What if I cough on you first? Well, my germs can make, because if you think your germs can make me sick, then my germs can make you healthy. Right? Natural immunity, right? Natural immunity means, listen, it's not a childhood disease, it's a childhood illness. And if I get it through my mouth or I breathe it in, then my body, the seed knows what to do when it comes in. It releases IgM, everybody say IgM, or IgA antibodies, which once that antigen to antibody connects, now it sends in Peyton Manning, okay? Sends in the first string. Not just now, but now I have a lifetime response every time I come in contact with that antigen. So I don't need booster shots. If I get chicken pox as a child and I stay healthy, stay green grass, then I shouldn't have to worry about it anymore and not get it as a teenager or an adult, right? We're seeing these crazy cases because either they're vaccinated or they had so much toxins in their body that destroyed their immune system that when they came in contact again, they got it again, okay? So when you get natural immunity, you're getting bugs and germs and bacteria and viruses, antigens are called, the way God designed it. You put everything in your mouth. But by the time it gets to your mouth, to your bloodstream, it's gone through your digestive tract, through your lungs, through your lymph nodes, all these different doors it's got to go through, and it breaks it down, So by the time it gets to your bloodstream, you may not even notice it. I got tested one time and found I had West Nile virus. I didn't know that. I never was sick. It's in me. Why? My body got it, took care of it, let me keep living along, right? When you get fever and snot and boogers, that's your IgM and your IgA working to create the environment for that bacteria, that antigen, to kill it off so it can dispose of it and absorb it in white blood cells and things like that, okay? Your body does it all by itself. That's how the seed created it. And I've got more faith in that than what's man-made, okay? Again, I have more faith in that. Germ theory was all about, you guys know about germ theory, right? You study that about Louis Pasteur. He said, well, this guy is sick. I find this bacteria must have made him sick. And that was Pasteur's whole thing. Not true, though. When you become, let me explain it in grassland. When I'm green grass and a bug comes in, I'm not tempting or I'm not tasty to that bug. When I'm brown grass, when I'm sick or my environment is low, toxins, trauma, stinking thinking, then I'm a host or my environment attracts the germs, attracts the maggots. Okay, so if I have a garbage can full of trash, dirty, stinky diapers, banana peels, okay, how long is it going to take? And then I have a trash can here that somebody just has a trash bag in it, but no dirt, no garbage. Which one's going to attract the maggots and the flies and the junk? The dirty one, right? So then is the solution to spray the dirty garbage can but never clean it up? Or is it simply to keep the garbage can clean if I don't want to attract those germs? Right? Well, the whole world led you to believe, no, just spray the poison, spray the toxin, get the vaccine. Right? We're simply saying, no, come in, deal with the trauma, toxin, stinking thinking. Let's clean up your brown grass, dead grass body, and let's get it now to green grass. And then you're not going to be a host to attract all these things that you're afraid of. Does that make sense? Because you're a clean garbage can. Flies and maggots don't like clean garbage cans. They don't even. So why can I go into a room and spit on 10 people and maybe 3 get sick? Because 3 were dirty garbage cans. The other 7 weren't. Had nothing to do with my spit, right? Okay. So here's a video of it right here. Hey. Watch it. Your body does it all by itself. This is a cancer cell, but it does it all by itself. So those are natural killer cells killing whatever it is. In this case, it's a cancer cell. This is what you do. The healthier green grass, the stronger you are, the better you do that, the faster you do that. It's killing off viruses. That's natural immunity. Your body naturally does that. It's eating bacteria. And again, T cells attacking cancer cells. That's what they do. They grab it, they latch onto it, they absorb it. So imagine if your child has a fever or congestion or coughing or not feeling so well, that's what's going on. And how they're feeling is working together to make sure this happens as fast as possible. Again, your body, your nerve system, your brain, your immune system all work together to make sure that happens. And when you're healthy and you're green grass and you're strong and you're living within those 3 T's every day, then that goes on every week, every minute of your life. Here's the other crazy thing. What if I pay now and play later? There's a ton of research that says that if I get the measles, and I get it naturally, and I fight it off naturally. Again, none of these, when you look at the lifespan of these different infections, measles, mumps, it's 2 weeks, week if that. People aren't dying from it. There's an outbreak of measles. They're not, unless you're really, 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 really sick. You were sick already. So it's like, it's really, it does you a favor. So vaccine versus infection trade-offs, okay? Again, when you get these infections like mumps, chickenpox, rubella, that it protects you, it's antagonistic to cancer. It protects you against melanoma and ovarian cancers, against non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Measles particularly has a protective effect against non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So children who successfully go through measles have less heart disease, arthritis, allergies, autoimmune disease, and overall better health than those who never get measles. Crazy, but it's for a reason. So here's homeschool kids versus here's children who have been vaccinated versus children who have not been vaccinated. So if you've been vaccinated, you're 2.4 times greater to have chronic illness, 2.9 times greater to have eczema, 3.7 times greater to have neurodevelopment disorder, 4.2 times greater to have autism, 4.2 greater to have ADHD, 5.2 times greater learning disabilities, 30 times greater to have allergic asthma, things like that. And these are comparisons between vaccinated versus unvaccinated children as far as homeschoolers go. So who's healthier? Again, our goal is to have healthy children, right? So for me and my family, I didn't see the threat. I saw the threat of vaccinating greater than the fact of getting whatever naturally. So for me and my family, we chose not to do that. Do we have to pay the price? Yeah. Leah was in kindergarten, and there was a measles outbreak at her school, and we got quarantined. And we said, forget that, because that's kind of how we are. And she went to a jumping gym place, and one of the moms there was a medical nurse and knew who we were. She called Social Services, or she called CDC, or whoever. Jeffco, Health and Human Services said, hey, there's a potentially child here has been vaccinated at this public place, and you need to come. So they called my wife and said, you need to remove her now, or we'll come remove her for you. Yeah. And so they came to our house and put a quarantine thing right on the door. And of course, I just gave them my driving finger and kept on, because they're wrong. Stay home from school, at a private school, private Christian school.
But they all got their shots.
And I still had to pay the tuition. Yeah, yeah. Follow the money. So that's our story, okay? So as you wind this down now, again, I love all of you. What if you adopt? You don't have a choice. Your baby's going to get vaccinated. You can't have them. You can't have them. So here's the thing. What if you're going to vaccinate? What do? You better make sure that child's green grass-fed. Don't put those toxins in a sick child. So the National Vaccine Information Society has come up with questions to ask before you vaccinate. Okay, is my child sick right now? Not a good time to dump toxins in their body. Do I or my child have had a bad reactions to vaccines in the past? Not a good time to dump it again, okay? Do I or my child have a personal family history of vaccine reactions, neurological disorders, or severe allergies? Because again, your genes are part of your mama's genes. If they had a reaction, chances are your buckets are full and you may have even worse reactions. So ask these questions. Do I know the disease and vaccine risks for myself or my child? Again, would I rather risk chickenpox? Yeah. And have lifetime immunity? Yeah. Do I have full information about the vaccine side effects? Do I know how to identify and report a vaccine reaction? Do I know I need to keep a written record, including vaccine manufacturers' name and lot numbers for all vaccines? Do I know I have the right to make an informed choice? Those are just questions you have the right to ask your doctor, okay? Or anyone, for that matter. We good? Okay. Gandhi is old. As I wrap this up, Gandhi's old, been around a long time. Read a really good article about his views on putting toxins in the body, on vaccines. Here's what Gandhi said. Again, does your bias stand the test of time? Well, here's what he said over 100 years ago. Those who are conscientious objectors, that in the 1900s, when they changed the plumbing in England, and all these diseases started going away, there are people who chose not to get vaccinated for smallpox. And what they called them back then were conscientious objectors. That's where that term came from. Okay? With my conscience, I'm choosing to object. So conscious objectors to vaccine should, of course, have the courage to face all penalties or persecutions to which they may be subjected by law, and stand alone if need be against the whole world in defense of their convictions. That's Gandhi on vaccines 100 years ago. He was pretty smart. So now I take my bias and take his bias, and now I put it it's in line. As for me and my house, in modern times, objections to vaccines are mounting. Refusing to vaccinate is as controversial today as it was when the first vaccines were forced on British citizens almost 200 years ago. Vaccines often contain toxins like aluminum and mercury, and many vaccines contain aborted fetal tissue. The reality of vaccine injury and death is making the news, though the propaganda out lies from pharmaceutical companies cause a polarizing division between those who are pro-vaccine and those who are against. If you're reading this, you probably have access to running water and a working toilet. If you choose to forego vaccines for yourself or your children, bear in mind that you still need additional protection to avoid contracting illnesses. But while the medical professionals and the pharmaceutical companies are quick to take credit for our increased life expectancy, in truth, they're not the heroes. Have you thanked your plumber today? Thank your plumber today. Okay? So, as we wrap up today's talk, here's the thing. What did we do? What did her and I do? Thank God we never had that fight of, what do you mean you took the kids and got them vaccinated? You know I didn't want to believe in that. You know I'm against that, but you took them anyways? We never had that fight. Thank God. What do you mean you did? We fight about everything else. Not anymore, though. But our goal is always, because she's a mama bear. You don't want to mess with mama bear. Our goal is always to raise green grass kids. So there's a lot of things out there that we did that we got scoffed at, we got joked at, because of the traumatic birth, the Pitocin and the attack on the head, and because of a fall down a flight of stairs in a walker at 8 months old. We dealt from age 5 to age 15, 16, 17 with seizures. And had we not had a personal health bias, who knows where Leah would be today. We should be living on our own, 30 years old, rocking the world, having an accounting degree, a master's degree, and Most likely not, because a lot of people with our story who went down, who didn't have a personal health bias, there's a tragedy of those stories. So by the grace of God, and then when Mrs. Harvey, because of being a mama bear and being stressed out by your child, body started wanting to make cancer, then we took our personal health beliefs and bias and I applied it to her body, and we saw that cancer go away, and she's been cancer-free ever since. And then because we have 3 other children, I was like, my bias went way up to where I was like, nothing's going to, we all band together. And so you may or may not agree, but I'm just saying we learned, and we don't have all the answers. But again, we don't use birth control. Just was not good for my wife. Just the shut off God and all the research on how those hormone disruptors and all those birth control pills can lead to other things down the road. We didn't use birth control, okay? We had a home. We learned that the hospital birth wasn't what we wanted, so we decided to have the other 3 at home because it was safe. It was safer. Statistically, it's all... And again, none of this is just my idea. This is backed up by A, the Bible, but B, clean science. Tons of it. I don't just have one vaccine book. Tons of it. And we hang out with people that not believe, but get the same results. So we hang out with good people that confirm and hold us accountable to what we do. So I'm not just saying, hey, this is we're not wackos. Oh, we're weird, but we're not wackos, right? So all babies get checked and adjusted after birth. They get breastfed for the antibodies. We give them good nutrition. We avoid toxic poisons and toxic people for that matter, even if they're family. Sorry. You will not act that way or try. Well, Grandma better not be taking you and giving you all that stuff. Grandma ever wants to see you guys again. Seriously. Well, I'm like, there is no well. We're in Colorado, they're in Michigan. But seriously, if you don't have a family that honors your personal health beliefs, guess what? Guess what? Sorry. We will not sacrifice anything, our goal, to be liked or to be accepted. Because we have a responsibility to raise up and grow up leadership and happy children and not just keep the peace. Okay? And maybe that's what makes us different. We're like, no. And you can live the way you want to live. I'm just saying, this is what we do. Carry on. Good belief system. We wouldn't say, oh, that's going to make you fat. Or we would say, that's your friend, that's not your friend, you choose. But we would take away all the choices, so literally all they had to choose was their friend. We'd make it real simple. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't quit eating ice cream. Well, why is it in your house? Oh, my husband wants me to buy it. Stop buying ice cream. If it's not in the house, you can't eat it. Okay? Get adjusted. Please get adjusted. You and everyone in your family. Work out on a regular basis. Dirt is good for you. Dirt is good. Dirt don't hurt. Sun is good for you. We're not big fans of sunscreen. Why? Because it's very toxic. Now, don't go out in the sun for 5 hours with no suntan lotion on, but find a non-toxic. Oh, Mrs. Harvey happens to have a non-toxic source. Okay? Essential oils we use. We use tea tree oil. We use thieves. We use Young Living's oils. Whenever we didn't know what to do, we just put tea tree oil on it. Just blessed them, just threw it on them. You know what else to do? Tea tree oil. I cut myself, tea tree oil. I got a cold, put tea tree on the back. We use, and I was reading something about, maybe they were just covering their butt, but no child under age 2 should have tea. I'm like, oh, oops. Ours did. Ours grew up on it, right? Put a little thing, gargle with it. We didn't know what else to do, right? We didn't know the answer was 4, but we knew it wasn't 5. So we used tea tree oil whenever, what's the Greek way? A little Windex on there, That was it.
We also always ran fever.
And did I have it on there?
Yeah.
Fever's good. Okay, fever's good. I'm getting there. Fever's good. We let it run. Well, they're going to die. No. My research shows that when you give something to shut the fever down, you're now shutting off your natural immunity, and now you're allowing the bug or the germ to now gain strength. So you want that fever to go. We don't even have a thermometer in our house because I don't care what it is. And if I don't know, I'm a whole lot more calm, and so is she. We just hug them, love them, adjust them, make sure they're okay. And again, when do you go to the hospital? When the child's not themselves, when they're like out of control, like you're not yourself. Let's go get checked. There may be something going on. That's what it's for. But here's the thing. If you're following what we talk about, the 5 essentials, and you're doing what we teach, that stuff doesn't happen a whole lot. It really doesn't. I mean, literally, besides the seizure, yeah, that was a real pain in the ass, sorry. But we've been pretty blessed otherwise. But we got through it, though. And we got through it. So, yeah, and then vitamins and herbs, we use them. But again, that's why I do the muscle testing, because with Leah, they'd say, well, give her 2 of these. Well, she only needed 1, or she needed 5. We had to do the muscle testing, nutrition testing, to find out what food she was allergic to or not allergic to, or the vitamins she could take or not take, or she could take. So we use the muscle testing. So if you haven't done that yet, come on Friday or Saturday morning, get your food, get your vitamins tested so we can see what's going on with you and know what you need and don't need. And then hang out with good people. If they're toxic, you don't need them. Get social media, shut it off, right? Okay? All right. So it's noon. I'm done. I'm not really done. I'm going to end. I'm sorry. I thought it would take me 30 minutes to go through all that. I'm sorry. I want to invite you all to see Diana and her table, and see Megan and sign up for her workouts, and see Eileen for their non-toxic skincare, suntan lotion. She'll tell you the real story, okay? I apologize that I did go over. Is there anything I didn't cover yet that you needed to hear today? Any questions? Did you get enough today?
Yes.
Okay.
So Dr. Joe, legally, what can you say to the pediatrician when they're pushing the vaccines?
We're good.
We're good.
We're fine.
You have to sign a form.
You can sign the waiver, yeah, but just say no, we're good. Because if you fight them, they have the power to call social services on you and take your child.
And some of them get really angry.
Yeah, don't get mad. Keep the calm, keep it peace. Say no, we're good, we're fine.
Just don't go.
Yeah. Yes.
Dr. Joe, today the third reading at in the House today, and then they said once if it passes the House today, they're going to do the Senate, and they're probably going to be testifying again for until 3, 4 in the morning. Are you going to that today at all? Because last time they stayed till 4 in the morning for the first
I had to
reading.
leave at 10 because I parked somewhere scary, so I.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And they're saying to still everybody go, even if you're not testifying, just walk around with your
Yep, and
kids.
send a
But
letter to
they
your
had
senators.
2,000 the other night there, and they
Yeah.
said, though yesterday it kind of dropped, but today they're doing the third reading in the House, and if that passes, and it's all the Democrats that are approving it,
It's quite
and then it's going to
vicious.
Senate
Quite
today,
vicious.
they're not even waiting the 24 hours.
No, they totally want to take our rights away.
Yeah.
If I
So-
heard correctly, it sounds like the governor's not for it.
Well.
So it has to go to the governor, and
Right.
if he vetoes it, then you have to have 2/3 majority. It'll go back through, and you have to have 2/3 majority of House and Senate to overthrow the governor.
Okay.
So
So
they'll
Then it
have,
won't come, they'll have to do a whole new bill if this one
they'll have
fails
to
in
go right back to,
2020 in January.
they'll have to
They
go back to the
change it.
beginning to
Right.
try to get it overthrown from the
If
governor.
you don't know, again, I try not to bring a lot of it in here, but they're trying to take away big pieces of your ability to say no, to choose what's best.
Yeah.
Um,
Mocha added 3 new, he wants
Yeah.
3 new
3 new
vaccines.
vaccines.
And it's not good, just to say that.
And you
So
have
if
to
you
have
want to
one
get
people
politically
who
active, get your
vote.
juices on,
Yeah,
then just
you're
message me on
not-
Facebook, we'll turn you on to that.
They did say with the religious exempt,
Right.
they cannot ask you what your faith is.
Oh, okay.
They cannot ask you, well, what faith do you have? They cannot. That was passed. So I've been checking on what was passed and not.
Right.
That was passed. And they cannot ask you what your faith is.
But you
Because I know
gotta
the
know
other
what
ones
you're
are going
gonna
away more
sign.
and
You have
more.
to sign a paper, and then they can put whatever they want on there, saying that you are a bad parent, and you're signing a paper saying you're a bad parent.
And that you're risking
Oh,
your child.
yeah, and yep.
You're going on a database.
And then you have to be, you can opt out personally, but your doctor cannot opt out. And so your doctor, even if you opt out from the
Has to
database,
still
your
report it.
doctor has to report you.
And then they're going to start monitoring the doctors, it said, depending on how
Right.
many exemptions they give, then they're going to start going
Yeah.
after the doctors.
So hold on to your peace. Exercise your right. Yeah.
But nobody agrees. There's a lot of people. I've
know.
had so many arguments that
I know.
people, they believe, no, you should vaccinate.
Right.
They're the ones that don't vaccinate are
Right.
ruining all the other kids' lives. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter whether you're pro or for it. It's your choice.
It's your choice.
It shouldn't be forced on you.
You should have a choice. Broncos or Raiders, you should have a choice, right? It's not forced upon you. No, I agree. I get it. And feed your faith, not your fear. We don't know what tomorrow brings. Understand, here's the thing. 3 T's, trauma, toxins, stinking thinking. But fear, so they're using that to cause more stress. The solution, you got to know who you are and how awesome you are and what God says about you, okay? Reminder of that. Get adjusted. That way you boost your immune system to be able to combat whatever they throw at you. Eat food the way it's supposed to be eaten, right? Exercise. Come work out with us on Saturdays. Go with Megan and do Gladiator. That's an amazing workout, okay? Avoid toxins as much as possible. Those 5 essentials are going to help you produce that healthy child. Living unconscious of that or not living in mind of that, you're setting yourself off to fall off the cliff and the law of gravity will hit you, okay? So if you have any other questions, message me. Literally, that was half the talk. But that's the part I think you all wanted to hear. If you want more, again, go to YouTube, go to Facebook, message me, go online, look for these books. You're not going to have a hard time finding it. But just understand that we love you. We're here in this together. And we're here to have freedom. You know, that's what it's all about. And so I apologize, but please go talk to these ladies here for time constraints. I was going to give them at least 20 minutes to say something, but I'm not going to do that today. And just know that I love you all. Your health and happiness and your future is my responsibility, and I take that seriously. So thank you for being here. Give yourself a hand for being here. If you'd like me to come to your church or to your small mommies group and do a version of this, a smaller version of this, please sign up. Let me know. I'll come and we'll tell this message to whoever we need to tell. Right? I'd like to work on a PowerPoint that you can take people through and show them the truth and stuff like that. Less than 147 slides. So just know that I love you all. Thank you for coming. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.